Ian Garry is confident that he is the guy who will bring UFC back to Dublin. Ian says that he'd like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to be his opponent. He went on to say, if I'm getting Irish support in Ireland, in Dublin, there's never going to be anywhere else where it's going to be louder than when I'm at home. And I feel like the Irish deserve the support. The Irish deserve the crowd. They deserve the show of the UFC coming back to Ireland. We've done so much for the sport. The sport is booming right now at the moment. I'm absolutely smashing it. I'm going to be ranked 15 tomorrow. You've obviously got Conor on the comeback whenever he's back against Chandler. And then you look at it, we've got 3 Cage Warriors Irish champions. We've got Caelan Loughran, we've got Paul Hughes, we've got Rhys McKee. Those boys are all on the verge of signing for the UFC now, so it is inevitable that the UFC are going to come back. They're going to come back to Ireland, and I'm the guy who's going to make it happen, and I'm excited for it. I believe that after this fight, when I beat Neil Magny, when I smoke someone else in that top 15, then I'm going to be able to pull them back to Europe to get the Irish base breathing again, to get everybody hype, get that fire burning, and then watch all of the guys follow behind me to the UFC and just set the stage alight again. I told them that I want them back, and UFC President Dana White sat and said, I know we'll work on it. We'll try. That's all he can say. He's kind of a bit of a yes man. He has to say yes at that point in time. But I believe that he's absolutely going to make it happen. I believe when you see the star power that I possess in Charlotte, when you see that performance that I showed up with, and you think about that was the best opponent I've ever fought in many people's minds, that was the toughest guy. That was the toughest guy I've fought in many people's minds. Why wouldn't we go and do that in Ireland? And why wouldn't we go do it against someone who's going to bring in the fans? Could you imagine me versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson as the main event in Dublin, Ireland, and then stack the card with Irish and European talent from top to bottom? You wouldn't have to sell any other fighters. You just have me and Wonderboy and it would sell out. So it makes so much sense. And I believe Dana will bring us back. And I believe he will make a return to Ireland at one point in time. Early next year, I believe. It's on me to keep pushing for that. It's for me to put my nation on my back and carry them through and keep winning and show them that I want them back. I said to Sean Sheehan before my fight in Cage Warriors, my 3rd professional fight, I said I'm going to be the guy that brings the UFC back to Dublin. And I'm going to be that guy. I'm him. And I'm this f***ing close. I'm this close. So it's exciting. Chris Curtis wants to avenge his loss to Kelvin Gastelum and says he may even chase Kelvin down to welterweight. Chris and Kelvin fought back in April, and Kelvin won via unanimous decision. Speaking to MMA Junkie, Chris said, I'll always be mad about it. I'll always say that I refuse to call it a loss. It's weird for me because honest to God, I beat Kelvin Gastelum. Out of everybody in the building that night, Kelvin Gastelum's the one guy I beat. I definitely didn't beat the ref. I didn't beat the judges on that one, but Kelvin, I beat Kelvin. He knows I beat Kelvin, but I lost everybody else in that building that night, unfortunately. It just sucks because I know what happened. He knows what happened. And I just feel like it'd be a really good feather on my cap. Everybody is like, oh, it was the best Gastelum's looked. He's back in his best form. And I'm like, yeah, but I beat that guy. I was good and I beat that guy. They're like, that's the Kelvin that fought Israel Adesanya. And I'm like, cool, that's great. He was that Kelvin. But I was better than him that night. I'll never get that feather in my cap. So that one kind of stings. I can't change history. Luckily for me, though, the UFC's not treating it as a loss. They kind of rolled through it and they haven't set me back. They gave me a really good fight going forward and I'll take it. Hopefully I'll find Kelvin again. Going to 170 means nothing to me. I could still make 70. It sucks, but I'll still make it. You can't change weight classes to escape this ass whooping. So I'll find it eventually. Although Justin Gaethje is grateful for the opportunity to fight for the BMF belt because it could lead to more pay, he thinks the belt is kind of stupid. Speaking to Cage Side Press, Gaethje said, my true assessment, when Masvidal and Diaz fought for it, I was like, this is stupid. I still think it's kind of stupid. However, to the fans that say it's stupid, I say that it's ultimately the UFC giving one more fighter one more opportunity to win and gain an opportunity to get pay-per-view points. This belt, just like interim belts, on paper are a championship. You are a champion in the eyes of the UFC, and when you are a champion in the eyes of the UFC, you get paid different. So to the people who say it's stupid, it's the UFC throwing a bone. Like we always ask them to throw a bone and they never do. So I'm thankful there is an opportunity that I get to fight for, especially because there is only one in the world. It's a cool looking belt. I think it's a little bit of a show, but I think it's ultimately the UFC throwing a bone, and I've got to be thankful for that. On Fighting Dustin, Gaethje continued, since that fight I certainly have grown. I'm 5 years older. I was 29 years old. A lot of big fights between that day and today, and the day that I'll fight him. I am human and I'm susceptible to make mistakes. I think I made a huge mistake in the Oliveira fight. I became super emotional, and I think that's one thing I will not allow to happen this fight, and I think it's going to be somewhat of a chess match, but with both of us trying to create damage at all times. 5 rounds. Obviously you've got to fight smart. Championship fight. Usually the first one to make a mistake loses. Ultimately I have to be perfect, and I'm fighting a dog. Joaquin Buckley on the Believe You Me podcast says he wants to fight rising star Ian Garry next.
Ian Garry, Shavkat Ramadov, Kevin Lee now, and then Gilbert Burns on top. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I want all those guys. Period. You
Ian
know,
Garry,
and like I said,
a matchup
it's not
that's
on some disrespectful shit. It's just business. And plus, they got all the 170 motherfuckers.
Yeah.
These all the hitters, you know? And my thing is, like, these the dudes that's supposed to be the scary boogeyman. Definitely Ian Garry and Shavkat. They undefeated. They ain't never tasted defeat before. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
If y'all so confident in y'all abilities, I should be easy work. I'm a dumb fighter, right? Man. I ain't got no
Take my money.
I'm easy work. And plus, I'm a good name, too. Like, I beat the dude with the craziest highlight knockout. That's good money. You know?
I love that Ian Garry fight. Yeah, I'm like, I just keep thinking Ian Garry. That's the fight.
Boston. On my mama, Boston. Come on now.
Cause with respect, and I love it.
Boston, bro, like that.
You two are the cockiest motherfuckers right now, you know, and I mean that in a good way. I mean that in a good way. I mean that in a way of selling fights. 100%. I was the same way. You got to believe in yourself. You got to self-promote yourself. You got to call people out. And you two would spark such a massive amount of interest and build that fight. I mean, as I say, take my money already. You got to get out of it.
He gonna talk that too. That's what I like about him. He gonna talk that. Like I said, man, these guys, you know, unfortunately, they never tasted defeat, you know. And the thing about that is they come in with a false confidence, like they can't lose. We all can lose. We all know this. We all, any man on any given day can lose. You understand? Unless you John Jones, I guess. You know what I'm saying? But hey, Anthony, you had
I don't know why we got to bring that up.
Shot, man. You could have been the one.
Hey, Joaquin.
Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira ran into each other at the airport today.
Bom, pessoal, olha só. Último dia na Austrália, né? Bom, agora chegando aqui em Los Angeles. E olha só que eu encontro aqui, ó. Adivinhe, uma chance. Erraram. Israel Adesanya. Chama.
After that, Izzy posted this to his Instagram story. He wrote, FYI, I got the kill shot. And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post future ones. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one's from Patrick. It says, I don't understand how people could celebrate everything bad that happens to Francis. You gain nothing off his downfall, weirdos. The second one says, crazy thing is UFC actually made the Leon versus Jorge fight, but Jorge pulled out from injury and then proceeded to fight Colby months later. And then after Leon won the strap, he wanted to fight. And the final one's from Max. It says, I instantly believe the UFC has been playing a dirty game from the start, but I also instantly believe that Francis was asking for way over his head. Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured on the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. If you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen to get caught up. And make sure to go subscribe to our second channel where we post our exclusive MMA interviews.